Hello, everybody. Welcome back in. We are rolling into our third and final series here of the day. Continuing on with the North America side of things, of course, it is going to be Guatemala up against Canada. Checking in with that Group B side of things now to see how it pans out. And Canada come through as a team that we are hoping to deliver here, but again, we're not entirely sure, right? Because we've just taken a look at a bit of a game where it felt like Team America should be able to take it pretty handily. Came a bit closer on that second map, hoping here that Guatemala can continue delivering as somewhat of an underdog, somewhat of a lesser known country when it comes to the Counter-Strike, but blasting onto the scene maybe, and these guys might have themselves a little bit of a resurgence or energy behind them because of this recent G2 pickup, of course.
Of course, yeah. I mean, a real kind of inspirational thing with Malbs going towards G2, his form. I mean, this is a guy who's been, at least for me, great for years now. I'm talking back on his days on Team 1, even though he was playing, terrible roles. He was really kind of put into really awkward positions that he definitely should have been. People then finally found to respect the dude and put him into the position he should be when he went towards M80 and now in towards G2. He's just been electric. I mean, we saw recently at EWC how good this guy was. So yeah, for Guatemala as a whole, I think they're a region with not a huge amount of players that have reached that top level, and to have one very recently just get that introduction towards tier 1 and be so successful, it could spell good signs, I guess, for the region. Maybe, hopefully, we'll have to see. This, of course, is their team, and I do see, interestingly enough, Malbs, right? If Malbs is playing, that is wild. However, I would be so surprised if he's playing, because I would assume he's in Europe right now with the rest of the team, because if you think, if I'm just going to rattle off a couple off the top of head, tournaments coming up, Blossful groups, I'm not 100% sure they are in that G2, just double checking, I think they are, yeah. Blossful groups, 4 days, Cologne, just under 2 weeks. I'd be very surprised if Malbs is playing, is what I'm going to say here. From my understanding, the team that Guatemala were putting forward is Anti-Stage, Mitis, Timan, and Cruzen. Cruzen actually has played in the past, but he's retired. But I'd be very surprised if Malbs ends up just playing, because of tournaments coming up in like 4 days in Europe, and this is an Americas qualifier.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I mean, so, okay, what we have here on the document as well is Timon is down as a substitute, so it makes sense that he's coming in. We also do have Rainmaker here. There's a little bit of crossover, it would appear, with kind of Liquipedia, with what we've got on the sort of our document as well. But yeah, it would be a little bit of a surprise. Again, might just come down to the fact that he's like the player that was registered, so maybe it's a case of until the game gets going, maybe people aren't fully sure. The admin's starting to get a bit of an idea, a bit of a surprise on their end, I suppose. This is Canada, though, on the other side of things, of course. They come through as a full-on roster, again, for the most part. Homnio, I think, is maybe what we're going with here. Yours is the only player that doesn't look to be on the roster at the moment, but ultimately a fully fledged team that are going here. They're all going to be very comfortable with each other once again, and that is something that we speak to as being a very, very big comfort factor here. So, again, looking forward to getting into this. Another crop of players that are all around the same sort of age. I think we'll be very, very comfortable with one another, and it should be a pretty scary consideration for the side of Guatemala. We move into our veto here. We got the Mirage coming out. We've seen Mirage appear a couple times already, but not getting to see it every single time. We've got the third to go out from Canada as well. One of these maps that a lot of these teams that are maybe not practicing loads and loads, right? I think they stay away from the Vertigo because of these recent changes. Canada, though, they don't. We're straight into the action. The game's got going. So after a couple of slow starts, we've got a quick one here from these two teams. Credit for that. First head rolls in favor of Guatemala, but Mello out from jungle. Looking good. Rainmaker, meanwhile, holding the line. And wow, it's kind of falling apart as soon as it gets going. 3 versus 2. Pensky and Yuz coming in from that B side of things to try and pick up the pieces.
Tough, isn't it? Very difficult. Couple of taps going to come through. 1 for 1. Might give yours an opportunity. Not all the time, it has to be said, though, however. No kit on his back, and there might be one dropped on the floor, but I don't know if he's recoverable, as most people died over towards jungle, and Rainmaker going to see it off. Yeah, as expected, of course, Malbs not in the server. I think it was probably a case of when the team list was made and when they were submitted. This was back when he was on M80, so he probably could have actually played back then, maybe on a little bit higher ping, but I'm sure it probably wouldn't have made too much of a difference for Malbs just because of his individual level and all the rest. But yeah, one of those where he was probably submitted, and then obviously got the move to G2, and obviously now can't, as he's in Europe somewhere. Not actually too sure where he'll be staying, but nonetheless, first round for Guatemala is very good. They just super quickly barrel in towards the fights, and they work wonderfully.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Really clean stuff from them. Back 10 out towards middle, looking to make some money here. Will go down quite quickly, but looking good. A bomb site taken, right, is the big thing here. And we should see kind of a pan out here for Guatemala if they play their cards right. Exits being held for on the Canada side. Certainly could happen for them. Nice little setup in towards CT. And they're kind of on here. Some damage landed. They may well know this. This connector player is proving to be troublesome, to say the least. Not a lot of time to get rolling. They know where these remaining two players are at. The bomb, of course, planted quite nicely for them. Tap onto it. Trying to just take some guns away, really. It doesn't even look like they're fully dedicating in for the round itself, to be honest. And they've done a good job at that. They will win it out. AK might make it away. I think he should be... Oh, no, I was going to say he should be okay. But without the armor, it's difficult to always remember, nonetheless. Big damage comes in ahead of the buy for Canada. And again, just little things for me now. The fact that in that round, they're like 3v3... could hold the bomb here, goes down to a 3v2, but they're like, no, we know we're probably not going to win this one. Let's tap it and draw them out rather than try and, you know, body block and force the 10-second defuse.
Yes, yeah, exactly. All right. It will also be the first buyout for Canada. You can see what they've got to bring to the table. Guatemala, a 2-0 start is good for them on the T side, in all fairness. See the Canadian team get going. It's not a good start for Yuz individually. He gets caught by another entry by Stage. He's looked really crisp.
Okay. I mean, super fast, that first frag coming down. It is incredibly aggressive here from Guatemala to kick off proceedings. This is their pick. As you may well have missed, it was a little bit fast there, as I don't think we realized we were fully into game. Vertigo coming up for Canada. But if Guatemala can play like this all game long, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Okay. $50 seconds. Guatemala looking towards a grouping with 4 to 5 here, leaving one over towards Chair as a bit of an insurance policy to catch people in rotation. Gabby going to tuck himself in towards on the bow. This could be a strong position. Coming in late, about 30 seconds left. But there's 3 players here to meet them. First 2 go the way of Canada. Uh-oh. This hold is great. And just like that, Guatemala leave things way too late. Canada rotate over, and they'd realized by this late point, nobody had gone towards B. They checked it towards unders, and top mid and spotted nobody. It has to be an A finish. The Guatemala, which started well, they just left things too long. If they'd made a move 20 seconds earlier, they would have been in for a chance.
Yeah, a little shaky. A little shaky for sure. It seems that force I was talking about has dropped off quite quickly, even into the round itself. So they will be kind of kicking themselves. And the thing is as well, you usually see a lot of teams be able to buy back up. But because of the way that second round went down for them and how costly it was, they're unable to put anything up here. A little bit of a drop down there in the B apartments. Not going to be too much of an issue. Melio does manage to find himself an early opener. Mitis push back here. Got to be careful when the Deagle's on the other side, especially when you got nades in hand. But the backup from Yuz looks clean. Down to just 2 for Guatemala. Make it 1 now. Should be that second round for Canada with minimal damage.
Yeah. Should be the case. Still, a Deagle. I mean, Stage just looked pretty crisp when he's had his opportunities. I'll give him his credit. He's been pretty good, but this one is just asking a little bit too much, isn't it? Kind of going to tie this game up, and if they can do it with 4 to 5 staying alive, it's pretty decent overall. Not a lot of complaints from us. Still looking towards mid. Gabby's going to be basically holding the entirety of the A site here, but then we're dipping back over, and Stage is taking his sweet time to go for a peek here. I don't know if he's hoping that they over-rotate towards B, and then he can try and sneak out a plant, but I feel like it's going to be so unlikely. 25 seconds. And in all honesty, is he actually even going to move? Who knows? I mean, it looks like he's tempted, but then he dips back. So, who knows? Now he's on a look in. Spots nobody towards stairs, but should get spotted here. Oh, it's a nice shot, though. He will hit his. Maybe a bomb plant on the cards here. In all fairness, yeah, he's going to get it.
Minimal damage from the nade as well. He's got the drop here. Ah, jumps the gun a bit early. Shoots the gun a bit early. Could have had another one out there. Make it cost to get a bomb plant. Really solid result, but it's not going to happen. Still, they'll be happy with that. Gives them something to work with into this follow-up round. And kind of an overspend from a few players, it looks like. So I don't even know, actually. Should have been able to buy it, it feels. But yeah, maybe a few too many Deagles across the board. Without the bomb plant and without Deagle's ball, I don't know that they would have had a comfortable buy. So weird economic situation that Guatemala find themselves in, ultimately. They'll try and put a bit of something together. We got a Galil to work with. Got a B play coming in. Going to be this burst here. Plenty of utility to get it going, particularly the flashes. And a great round to go for it because not fully isolated, but that short player's pretty far away from the action here. So Tensky going to have to try and stay alive. He gets a massive nade down before dropping back. Jols is in to help out. They can't make it through the wall on B here. Down to just Thimon. Does manage to find one, but easily dealt with. Very well played by Tensky, you know, in a position where he could have instantly dropped. Doesn't happen, however. He keeps that spot. He keeps that presence in and around the apartment. So good stuff from him. Canada fend off the half pipe.
Yeah. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. I like how Tenty's going to play that as well. I mean, that nade does, I mean, he must have done about 150 plus damage across the board. Then he dips back over towards jail, waits to bait them in, and he does a good job. You know, plays anti for the first fight, and everything sort of slots itself into his place. The classic smoke into his back pillar as well. Everything that could go right does. No complaints, really. So, Canada gonna find the opening 2 kills, which is big for them. The first gun round in a while for Guatemala is not going well. Oh my god, they're down to 2 and already feeling the pressure. Oh, I say that. Hang on. Anti gonna get a double. Round could potentially be on here.
It's slim, but with that AWP still in play, you do kind of have a hope, don't you? However, it's this position here. I think we'll go overlooked. Because, in theory, you should be able to drop this bomb. No bother. But we'll see. Slow creep up coming in. Every angle being checked. Anti, though. The first one he overlooks is exactly where yours is. And Stage, of course, distracted away. Another key round coming forwards for Canada. Looked really good from Guatemala in those opening ones, right?
Yeah.
Super aggressive, but I think very quickly Canada have said, okay, guns up, got to be careful not to get taken out while we're quick switching, etc. But it's a dangerous look now for Guatemala. All of a sudden, the game getting away from them.
Yeah, exactly that. And they need to be careful now. We're talking about what is probably going to be a 3-round game at the bare minimum. Canada putting up a pretty stable CT side. Nice shot from Melio just before that smoke plumes. And also from Guatemala going a little too early there as well. Under response, though, Rainmaker, it's a bit of a banger himself.
Melio on top of this smoke. Going to have to flick down to save his teammate there. A little bit dangerous, trying to follow the traces here. Not quite going to happen. He's tagged down pretty low. We get a bit of pistol action from Guatemala, but again, no real sweat off the brow of Canada. Back round to another serious round here. Game's moving fast. Scoreline. And the gap in between them is getting bigger and bigger. Soon to become a canyon if Guatemala are not careful.
Need to be careful, really, don't they? I mean, it's one of those where, I mean, even now, if Guatemala don't find this gun round, I mean, we're talking about Canada probably get it to, what, 7-2? I mean, at that point, even that alone might be rough. Might be rough indeed. Oh, what has he spotted? Tensky going to sit in the flames. Tensky, hello! Oh my god, his teammates. Smoke comes a little late, but he somehow avoids the bullets, and he's actually playing up close with the orb. This is crazy from Tensky. He takes damage from his teammate's nade as it banks off Mitters, but how has he even got away with a kill there? I don't know.
Big one from Joel's. Bomb going to rotate around, but Guatemala have got to lay down a kill here. Some low HP players, and there's the lower half of Melio spotted out. Actually a pretty big name to be taking. Clean one onto Yuz, and suddenly it's a 3v3, but you've just taken down two incredibly healthy players. So it really does make a difference here. Anti has to be careful with this bomb, however. For the time being, he's all alone.
Yeah, more feels like I guess sort of maybe a 1.5 now, but I mean, even still, Joel's the healthy player, happy to take fights in the open, does well. Oh, Pensky, nice shot, good reaction as well. And last man left of Timon. I mean, honestly, an argument to be made about keeping on the AK, in all honesty. Looks like with 20 seconds, he's going to make a move towards A. He has no idea what the setup is, where they are, or how he's going to make this work. And, of course, most notably, the bomb, too. I mean, no control of it. With 12 seconds left, good luck. I think he probably should be calling to save it. It's a hide in plain sight type of strategy as he's just tucked over towards ramp. But not losing that AK, I think, is probably the main thing for us. Good work. Joel's super important double out of him. Tensky in the AWP as well looks very, very comfortable. We do see Canada extend this lead now. They're guaranteeing bare minimum, right? That we're up towards that tied game. But the way they're playing, I think I'd be very surprised if we don't see Canada get up towards probably at least 8 at this rate. Guatemala are in a tough spot. Things are not working well for them. A saved AK, lost bonus, will mean a buy-in towards the next, however. So we're seeing double AKs come through, one being saved. Triple Galil, and actually more utility than I expected. It's not terrible.
No, it certainly is in a position of playability here. First couple do come in as it's a heavy, heavy fight towards middle. Not going well for Canada. Big damage done again, though. You know, these rounds are really on the knife's edge. But as that headshot lands, you feel like Guatemala should have done enough. The B-bomb site completely open, right? It's looking very, very good for them. Might even be sort of one of those soft save situations here for Canada. Stage moves up. Missed shot from the AWP means that he... Well, actually, no, it does land. Tag shot from the AWP means that he will go down. Gabby miles away. And nothing that he can really do for this. So, they have plenty of cash, but that futility angle, no point really going in for it. He might be able to scoop up the AWP as well. It looks like he'll have player to get through if he wants to do that, but that would be kind of nice for the team as a whole. All the same, Guatemala will be back on the board here.
Okay. I think in general, for Guatemala, that's a round that you can really work off the back of. All 5 staying alive. I mean, pretty crazy one in total for Guatemala, which is definitely something that they can sort of work off. I mean, at the very least, the hope for us, for a Guatemala side who've been struggling a little bit on this T side, they do need to be putting up consistent rounds on the board. I mean, probably at least up towards 5. I think any less, and they're probably in a really troublesome spot. That's just where Canada, I think, as a team, can probably build upon a little bit in towards that second half themselves, make these T sides work, and being this is Guatemala's pick, so far, 6-3 still just doesn't really feel enough. Tough is the thought process that we're kind of got here. It'll come over. Fairly decent chunk of damage in all fairness. Both Mitters and Timon taking pretty alarming chunks. And Mitters also gets dinked, but by his team this time.
Yeah, that's never ideal, but it does happen from time to time. Joel's looking for a fight here. Kind of begging for a fight, to be honest, on the other side. Slow roll this time from Guatemala. It's the flanking from behind of Melio that will cause the rest of the boys to get rolling in. Fantastic stuff. Joel's runs out of ammo at the worst possible time. Could have netted another. It's looking good. It's staged on this AWP to do it all. Not going to happen. Flanked out from both sides. And Canada right back in with it. That's a big sign for them and a bad sign for Guatemala, ultimately, that they are unable to string a few and turn the one round into sort of that serviceable 4 or 5. They now have to go back to the drawing board and still under threat of a really one-sided half.
Yes, no, exactly. I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, we're looking at this for Guatemala. We just as they find success, the fact that they can't chain it together is arguably even worse off, right? Where it just shows that, you know, it makes you doubt that previous round, which felt so clean at the time, of saying, how much of a fluke was that? 2 deep nades that come through. I'm playing anti. Timon up close. Do they clear the MP9? I mean, Joel should get at the very least 1 here. And he will. There's 1. Can we make that 2? Oh, yes, we can. Anti or trade, but at the very least, job arguably done for the MP9 there.
Oh, the Molly addition to that could have been big, you know. Gabby gets a little bit lucky that the smoke was down. He forces his way out, though. Fancied himself for the fight. Doesn't quite happen. Rotations are here from Canada. Fine from Tensky on the edge of the smokes. That forces them away, I think. Yeah, looks that way, doesn't it? So Guatemala going to have to reapproach things. Yuz will be ready on B. You know, it's not like they have this crazy drop or anything like that to work with. Just trying to reapproach. Might even be a mid-angle.
It's a doable round, though, isn't it? This 2 versus 3. I just don't know where you want to finish it. You have no info. It is the real problem. I mean, as long as Canada don't peak, I don't think they're going to have really many issues here. You got a backbench player this late into a round, and Yuz is surely going to go completely unchecked if they do move up catwalk and go towards him. I mean, honestly, it's easy for us to say with hindsight and stuff, but the best thing that really Yuz can do here is not move, not peak, don't give up anything, because there's no way this late into a round. They've got 15 seconds as they're looking towards B. There's no way they're going to check him. Yuz, little does he know, his position that he's holding is so strong. They come. Oh, the bomb struggling to go down. The nade, even the nade could do it. The nade will do it. That's it. GG, round done. Ryuz has played that to absolute perfection. You do not need to peek there. That late into a round, there is no need to make any sort of a move. Just wait for any information to come your way. If they do end up going towards A, you've got a jungle player, you've got an A site player, so you've got time to rotate. Perfect. No complaints. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And Canada are going to put an 8th on the board. Guatemala had a chance, but I think similar to what we've seen in quite a few of these T-side rounds, they've just left it a little too late.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, maybe just speaks to a lack of that comfort in officials putting too much pressure on themselves, too much weight on each and every round. Sometimes you just got to try and go with the flow, right? It's easier said than done, and certainly not a headspace that I've ever needed to be in, right, in a super competitive environment, but you have to be able to do it at this level of the game if you want to be performing well here, and unfortunately it's just not happening for them. Early peaks, aggressive peaks, all too easy for Canada. Down to Anti. To save the half here, the 4 rounds would be the absolute minimum that we always ask of any half of Counter-Strike at the moment, and it does not look like Guatemala are going to have that go their way. Anti's position now known. Surely a dead man walking. He is indeed. He will go down. 9th to come through for Team Canada. Super, super clean. You can see 6 in a row. 9 in 10 is really, really one-sided stuff. Guatemala, I'll say it again. I mean, they started very well. I was like, okay, here we go. This is looking super clean. And even into that first rifle, they had themselves a good advantage, but just could not make anything work in those gun rounds, unfortunately. And now we kind of worry. Look, we've seen already today in this region, the flip over can make a big, big difference. But
absolutely,
whether that's going to be the case here is, of course, difficult to say.
I mean, this is a map which is inherently CT-sided, right? You know, second most statistically, but it's not about the statistics. It's about kind of how these teams, the composition of them. because you're on that CT side, you can get pulled apart a little bit. It can be difficult. Rainmaker going to get the first. Gabby will trade, and Joel's going to add to it. Super simple fights that are being taken here that are working well. P250 going to post on the angle, but they're going to get caught in crossing. Trades are good for the T side, but they still don't know where their second man is. Now they do, as Joel's comes to life. Tensky will see him off, and that's Canada putting up a 10th. I don't know about you, Scriv. Now that they've got a 10th, a T-side pistol, they're probably going to get this next round, even if there's a 4-side of Guatemala here. I feel like we're already starting to talk about potentially already, I mean, maybe Vertigo, right?
Yeah, it certainly does feel that way, to be honest. I think we would have looked towards the pistol as being that opportunity, the springboard, I like to call it, for Guatemala, and unfortunately they come close, but close is not going to cut it in a game like this. They're going to eco things out. It's a tough position to be in, right? This is sometimes where we might say, actually, is a force justified? But then you really are making your bed if you go in for the force and you lose it. So they want the guns. They want to try and make them work. It's a B stack. Walking into B here. They will indeed go through a bit lackadaisically after finding those first couple of kills. But it doesn't make too much of a difference. The weaponry is massive here. Stage in on the site. Not seen? That's crazy. Gabby goes down. AK recovered. Bomb, I would have said, would be getting the hell out of here. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. We got a Nova and a Mac 10. A little dodgy, but they will take him down. They keep their cool there. It's a bit of expense, but an 11th round getting ever closer to the victory.
Yeah, I mean, the going in towards the stack like that was worrying. I think is probably the main thought process. I thought for a second that could have been a lot more concerning than it ended up being. Right, in the end, all that matters is winning out. But yeah, like you said, a little bit more expensive than it probably should have been. But fundamentally, 11 on the board now, and probably the last hurrah for Guatemala. You lose this, I don't think we're talking about anything more coming to fruition. Oh well. For Canada, not a good start, but ultimately, where they are at the moment, they've got so many rounds in arrears. I don't think they're going to be too worried, even if this one is to slip.
Oh, Charles, that is criminal, man. Huge kill from him. Gives them some good control over here on the B-bomb site. Mitis needs trading, and he will be by Melio from short, in fact. Bomb is quite far away. So they're still going to go for this B hit. But there is a case where it gets cut off. Melio, did he give his life to allow it to cross? He may just have done. Pulling away here. Flash going to go in. They don't know that, of course. They can't really base it on timing. So a nice little flash to allow it to happen. Molotov tags up one. Yuz not getting that bomb down. Not rushing it, right? Going in for a frag opportunity. So very low on the other side of this. This is a doable 1 versus 2 if ever I have seen it. It's a case of walking into the crosshair, however, and Stage with a really big round. 4-piece coming through from him to give Guatemala a lifeline.
Yeah, okay, Guatemala stay alive. I mean, this is a good round that they've taken, and at the very least as well, where it's something that you can replicate. I mean, the individuals look very clean in that one. Granted, one in particular, but I think still a position where I think for Guatemala they can work off the back of it. Canada have been, at least to a degree, a little bit starstruck in that one. They've just been shunted off the rip and no real way of responding. I think maybe got just a tad too quick, and they're still just trying to force it in their favor, and it just doesn't end up working. Nice shot full blind from Stage, which for a second does miss, but information gain.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, a lovely little piece for them. At the moment, we are talking all about the second map, but maybe Guatemala can keep us in this a little bit longer. Not if you're going to be losing fights like that, though. On towards A, there's a lurking presence at B as well. It is for 1. Pretty big deal. He's got some support coming in from short as well, but this is where the activation of Yuz comes alive. Kind of need him now. Got to even things back up. I think he will be able to take this ladder room player. He says he was looking away for a second. It's a keen flick. Meanwhile, the bomb actually hasn't been picked up here, so I don't know that they ever would have dedicated towards A. Yuz gives his life away, however. That's one of those moments. 11-4. You feel confident for it, right? He will lose it. So it's all on to Melio. This MP9 and a Tech 9 on his belt. maybe a timing to get across towards B, but he is really banking on that luck factor.
Yeah, not, you know, with where we are on an MP9, I mean, now upgraded to a FAMAS, in all fairness, I don't know if that would have been heard. And, hey, I mean, by the look of it, it hasn't. I mean, Guatemala are giving him the B site. I don't hate the idea of playing together, but a wild one all in all. He is giving a bomb on here. I mean, good luck to Guatemala, because they're going to have no clue about where he's going to play up. And a fairly long rotate over and retake him with an AWP now as well. I don't know whether Stage maybe wants to potentially drop that over. Picking up util, we're taking our sweet time. And Melio gets all the time in the world to set up into his door.
This does not look good. There's not a lot of time on that bomb either, right? With that kill, he might just have done enough, to be honest. Stage is going to have to play it cleanly, and yeah, he's just got the complete upper hand, doesn't he? He knows he's not on it. Very cleanly done by Melio. They gave him too much room, too much respect, and ultimately too much time. He can't save anything across, but I don't think they'll be bothered. That pretty much secures the factor here. It's just a question of how long is it going to take them to get there against a buy like this? You would assume not too long.
Yeah. I mean, for Guatemala, that's a pretty damning round as well, right? It's 2v1 generally. They're playing together, which is honestly not the worst thing in the world. I mean, it's a very... I think generally just playing as a pack or playing the numbers game, playing for the trade is fine, but they just play it so badly, and they take so long to go in for the fight. It's super costly. Ooh, but an MP9 and a Deagle making this a little bit more problematic than they would hope. Another gamble stack, which is becoming quite deadly as Yuz left all alone, and they're going to win it out. Guatemala walk away with a round that they didn't even expect. They dump Naze in towards ramp, and they just stack the A site. And Canada, they didn't even bother to do any sort of checking. They just try and fly into fights. Second time that's happened now as well.
Yeah, kind of wild. It's kind of wild. I think, again, it just comes from a position of being a bit complacent with where their scoreline has ended up. But Guatemala's still giving us a bit of something to say, okay, hold on, let's see. Can they make this work into a second map? There's a few signs for sure. But then you get moments like this where the pistols just keep finding kills. I mean, I was expecting to just kind of bring it down a bit and be like, oh, okay, don't worry, they saved the round. But then they just kept on fragging. So this might be it, folks, for this map at the very least. Anti finds himself all alone. Pick up that bomb, plant it on B, get the reset, and it will be difficult for him to get anything going here. Fully spotted out, got a fight to win. He does so. Just got to be careful not to get too giddy, but some upgraded weapons here for Team Canada is going to be worth their weight in gold, of course. He comes in from short, could actually deny the bomb from crossing, but instead takes a tag and gets finished off, in fact. Joel's to get it done. Super one-sided stuff there on Mirage. Guatemala not bringing that solid A game, unfortunately. Maybe they did need Malbs after all.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I think with Guatemala, I think they got broken down fundamentally. I think Canada had a really decent setup as a team. They looked very clean on an individual basis, but also the setups on the CT side were pretty decent. I mean, 9-3 half. I mean, recovering from that sort of a situation, asking so much. It was never really going to happen, was it? I mean, we really needed to see something quite miraculous to even be in for the chance of it. So in the end, really well played. I think we got to see kind of the best of the best out from Canada in terms of what their skill ceiling is. And maybe we didn't even really see all they have on to offer. I don't actually really think Canada got fully tested there. So in all honesty, I think that was probably like Canada at like 80%. I still feel like they've actually got a lot more to give because they weren't having to dip too deep into the strat. But you can even see in those last few rounds as well, they were just trying to get it over and done with, going quick, getting into those fights. In one instance, ended up not working for them, you know, which extended the game by one more round. Another one was forced into a 1v2 clutch. If they were to slow it down and see it off, or like play a little bit more methodically if it was a closer game, I think we get to see even more out of Canada. But honestly, why do they need to? The game was pretty simple for them all the way through. I don't think they really required to dip too deep into that strat book. So credit to Canada. I think they played some great Counter-Strike. Looked very clean most of the way through. For Guatemala, a real step up needed in towards map number 2 of Vertigo because it was tough. I think they really did struggle.
Yeah, big style. Big style. Again, keen start, couple of nice rounds in there. Some individuals kind of pulling their weight. I think the stage looked pretty good for me, particularly in that first half, but just not quite enough in there. And it does, again, come down to this sort of level that we saw in the America and Colombia series, where it has that extra kind of level to it on the Canada side of things. They have that team play, they have that comfortability, and they have it within them to be like, okay, that was a bit of a tough round. Let's get the reset. Let's just move into the next one, not let it affect us, and go with a response, go with a completely different approach, you know, whatever it is. They always felt like they were in control of the game and that they could win any round, and didn't necessarily look to it and be like, okay, we got to get this one, guys. Oh, we got to make this one happen, and putting a bit too much pressure on themselves. That's definitely what it felt like for Guatemala, that it's like, okay, this is our pick.
Yes.
Let's go up next. Like every single round, it felt like, okay, we've got to win this. We've got to do it. And everything's like very, very tentative. Whereas I think the Canada side would have been much more open, much more kind of collaborative process.
Yes, no, exactly that. We take a look at the scoreboard off the back of it. A couple of individuals who really looked good, even though actually numbers-wise, he didn't run away with things. I thought you had a couple of real important moments, and of course, playing that anchor role, you aren't really going to get the best stats all the time anyway, but I think he had a lot of decent impact. But Joel's 23 kills was named, very good. Melio as well, 16 for him, pretty solid. Stage on the other side did look pretty good. I think on that T side, particular, I think he got a lot of entries, but unfortunately they were sort of entries with no real impact off the back of them. You know, the rest of the team really struggled to kind of keep up to his sort of level, and for Guatemala that could be the case, and maybe the tale of things to come with Vertigo heading up next.
Yeah, for sure, man. It is going to be a challenge here. And the thing with Vertigo as well is it's a really difficult map at the moment. I think if you're not comfortable, if you're not ready, if you've not put the work into the newer version as well, you could very much get caught off. We saw for a good while there, teams just did not want to play it, particularly in these IESF qualifiers, because I think you have a few teams that come in where sort of going through the motions, playing a few hardcore pug games every night, but maybe not got the time, the resources, the availability to just go in and have a deep dive on every single map. Sure. Right? So maybe that's where Canada are coming in to this tournament, that they've got the Vertigo in the back pocket that they can have as a bit of a secret pick and a stronger pick. We'll see. Time's going to tell. But all eyes on this Guatemala team as to whether they can bounce back or not onto their opponent's map pick. Not going to be easy. Not going to be easy for sure. But we're going to have to take a break first. Before we get in there, make sure you stick with us. See you in a few. Hello, everybody. Welcome back in. We are looking down the barrel of that second map here, of course, for Team Canada and Guatemala. Guatemala, unfortunately, has yet to really show up in this series, but we have the Vertigo coming up next. Maybe a fresh slate is what they need, but it is, unfortunately, to immediately put a downer on it, the pick of Canada. We're expecting big things out from them here after what we've just seen on Mirage. They looked very, very comfortable once they got going. Yeah. Took them a bit of time for sure. Took them, a handful of rounds to get in there, but they were pretty much unstoppable for the rest of the game.
Yes, absolutely. I think when I looked at it, I mean, the Canadian side had a lot to offer. And like I said, I don't even actually think we've seen maybe even like the full 80% out of Canada, because they haven't needed to. I honestly think the side have a lot more to offer, but they just haven't needed to bring it to the table, right? It was a pretty simple map number one, Mirage. It is, probably the best litmus test, I always say, for a kind of any team. Basically, everybody plays it. Everybody knows it, because whether you play from MM to Premier to FACED to FPL, right? Everybody on an individual basis has played Mirage thousands of times if you're players in the server here. And I think because of that, it always is the good test to see how strong a side are, how strong the individuals are. And there was, one in particular on stage on the other side who looked pretty good, but we just didn't see enough out of Guatemala that at least made Canada feel uncomfortable. So the big thing for me is I'm looking at this and saying, can we get a little bit more out of Guatemala? Can we get a bit of a stronger start, I think, fundamentally, too? And then can we see if they can kind of prop them up in some way, get the foundations and maybe building up a bit of a competition here. But I think they've got to take it in small increments, take a pistol, first gun round, things like that, and really start to slowly get things going. They can't think in a macro sense like, right, we've got to take Vertigo, then we've got to push to number 3, then we've got to take the series, this, that, and the other. I think if you start thinking long-term like that, it can really kind of kill you before you even start, right? You've got to think in these small little wins and kind of let things build up organically in that sense. But, Canada have picked in towards this map, and as a team as they are, right? They're a team who, from my understanding, play within advanced in North America, right? They have good amount of reps, good amount of prac, scrims, and all the rest. And because of that, I'm sure they have a very decent setup for this map too. So it could be quite concerning times for Guatemala.
Yeah, absolutely. Like your sort of line, your king of like, okay, we have to, come into this as though it's a bit of a scrim and not really look into it too deeply. For me, that feels like the logical way to go about things here, and indeed try and play that stronger game and just not consider the pressure, because it was something, again, the stakes of every single round felt really, really high from Guatemala, and we saw it in the early stages where they still were getting upper hands and Team Canada still feeling them out and everything, where they started falling a bit flat, not leaving themselves enough time, even though they had an advantage, right? Or a player getting kind of excitable where they didn't need to, and things like this. And I think that it ultimately ended up costing them in a pretty heavy way. We are into the action here, though, folks. Vertigo getting underway. Guatemala, the one thing for them, they get that CT-sided start. Obviously, where most teams like to go these days. We'll see what they can find, though. Timon going to be the first port of call. A little bit of a mid-crunch coming in, and it works out quite nicely. Feeding out the back-gen player, dropping the kit. Only 2 left. I mean, you might as well just save from here, even.
Yeah, honestly. Half armors. Let's just keep hold of them, right? I mean, it's better than nothing. But just holding for the last. I mean, a flawless one taken for Canada. They are not even made to work for that one at all. Barely even taking any damage. That is a beautiful, beautiful start. It has to be said. Really, really nicely done. Really, really good round coming through from Canada, and starting in towards map 2 as they finish in towards map number 1. Confidence, individuals look great, and yeah, exactly what we wanted out of this side. Coming towards your own map pick, set the tone nice and early, look really comfortable, and that's exactly what they do.
So just the eco out from Guatemala here, as they will be looking to get the early buy possible. But again, it's just kind of the little things. Rainmaker's in with a deagle. That's going to cost him into the next round. But maybe not if he makes it work. Can earn the money back on it. A couple kills will nullify the expense. Ooh, dink out here as well. Looks good for Gabby, as they will try and overwhelm. That's kind of what they were going for. I swear Anti walked around that corner reloading, right? So was just trying to be the distraction ultimately. Rainmaker not going to make it away here with the AK. Tensky says, thank you very much. I get myself a free upgrade there, plus the $600. But Rainmaker getting his 2 kills, so it's all good. It works out quite nicely. The deagle almost paying for itself. Nonetheless, this first rifle comes in. We've got 29? What are these guys doing? They're just jumping off the whole time in the warm-up? What the hell?
No, I respect it. Just don't allow anybody to warm up. Just keep flying off the map so and get their aim trained. It's all the mind. Yeah, it's the mind games right there. But 2-0 start for Canada. First gun round out for Guatemala. Goes without saying, really has to get going, doesn't it? If it doesn't, we could be in a bit of trouble. We're going early contact. The spam is good, in all fairness, and yeah, I think Joel's he realizes, let's not stick around here. I've already been down to less than half. We'll let him have that one.
Oh, the B play. Got a player boosted up here quite quickly. There's nobody around, unfortunately, for them to capitalize on it. Nice find from Rainmaker. Oh, they're a little bit on top of each other. Slightly panicked, and there it is. Yeah, the flash comes in, leaving them both very vulnerable. Double spray down for Yuz. Immediately pulls them back into contention here. Mitt is trying on the edge to spot an opportunity. It's not there. Meanwhile, Yuz continues being a nuisance, and they finish off Mittis eventually through that smoke. Canada moving up to 3 pretty quickly. It looked good for Guatemala. They just get, again, a bit ahead of themselves. And that slow, calculated execute coming in from Canada is what makes the difference.
Yeah, no, exactly. Every time we start to see maybe a little bit of something out from Guatemala, unfortunately, it's just not quite working out. bit by bit and moment by moment. We're just seeing how good kind of they can be. Full buy. Oh, it's the first true full buy. It doesn't work out. Mac 10 going to get 4 out of 5. So much money in the back pockets there. Nice and easy. I mean, he's got 12k to work with. I mean, on Tensky, I wouldn't even be against it if he wanted to upgrade. Normally, I would say there's no point. Play with the force buyers. But when you got 12k, I mean, at this point, you're rich anyway. Going to keep out of that Mac 10 regardless. But 4-0, back into the buyer for Guatemala. Man, if they don't get success in this gun round, I think they could already be in for quite a damning position.
Yours. Nice pickup from him. Stage has made himself known, however. So we'll see. Flash comes in. Timon. Oh, he was so blind. Tensky could have had it and thought that he would be there. Loses his life. Gives an opportunity across for the multi-frag moment. So here we are. The B bomb site is taken. They have to put some respect on Yuz here, of course. He found an early kill. Will they be prepared for him through this smoke? He's opting to actually not really take the fight, it looks like, and just play this corner angle, which can be very, very hard to clear. Distraction in, flash comes round, and that's one way to deal with it. All going to be on Melio. He gets traded instantly. And Guatemala on the board. So Canada, where it was looking like, you know, after that first rifle round, maybe this is going to be all about them. Not the case. Not the case at all. And indeed, Guatemala keeping things alive. They've got to turn this into a few, however.
Yeah, it's good, right? We finally see that second chance at the full buy actually work out well for them. And now there's maybe a little bit of something to work with. If we can see the classic chain of a couple together, we might be able to get this side cooking a little bit. I think for Canada, you can't give them too much respect. You can't allow them to completely run riot, or they're going to make life very, very difficult. So it's good. Guatemala get up in their face, may I say, and make life feel a little bit uncomfortable in that round. However, always comes back to the one word that I mentioned, you know, a couple of times in towards the previous map back. Consistency. What a shot from Melio at range.
Clean pickup. They're looking to keep it going here on that Team Canada side of things. A lot of presence at back gen, however. Flash comes around the top. Ooh, and Melio a little close. Big frag from him in the end, though. And another nearly landed. Leg will do at this stage. Very low HP bars, though. They do have to be careful on that Canada side of things. Not rushing for the bomb plant just yet. I think they're a bit scared of, you know, a nade to come in, a molly to come in, something like that, but no nade at the very least. It will go down. Ollie slows down the action here in the post plant, and I think they're actually moving away to save. Gonna have to give it. They don't have the info that we do about how low these players are.
Oh, well. Guatemala, they'll keep hold of an AK and an AWP. Oh, I don't know. This is a tough one. A tough one that they're in. I mean, you find a bit of success and you immediately get it sort of shunted right back in your face. Not good, is it? I think for Guatemala, I wouldn't even mind a pause coming through. They might not save it. Gunbarrel spotted. Jumping as well by Tensky. Just a rub salt in the wound, I guess. Nobody towards Sandbag. Last guy will save that AWP, which I guess is okay. It's better than nothing, but it is still going to be Canada who are running away with this early doors quite nicely. That's now a 5th on the board for them. There's going to be a buy going to come through from Guatemala. It's not a great one. I think it's probably the main point here for them. And we've got a double M4, just a pistol off a Rainmaker, it seems. Oh yeah, okay. We'll go back and buy an MP9 to support the other one as well. Nate comes over. The second one does miss, but no one was there anyway.
Oh, goodness. That could have been awkward for sure. Mitters is the one that finds the kill, yeah. Molotov forces a fight out. This is a little difficult. Felt like Guatemala were in a decent spot at middle there, but not able to make it work. Gabby somehow survives this whole exchange. Oh. Don't get in my way, he says. I got a bomb to plant. Stage emitter is going to save once again. Although that kill might call them to action. I don't know, though. Their position's going to be known pretty well here. Still giving it a little look in to see if there's any more adventurous players. And you know what? There is. Down to a 2 versus 2 where it was a 4 versus 2. So, missed shots could cost them everything. Melio keeping his trigger discipline soundly, and he'll get it on the Tech 9 as well. That one did make me worry a little, but Canada, they keep winning out in these crunch moments.
Yeah. Every single time there's a potential close moment or an instance where maybe something can go forward for Guatemala, it is still Canada who are looking at the slightly better side of it and just having this opportunity to make life pretty uncomfortable in the server. Yeah, tough one that we're in at the moment, where for Guatemala, they thankfully can rebuy back in towards this loss bonus, keeping them afloat, but I think generally time feels like it's dwindling a little bit. I mean, what are you getting? Slightly excited about them. I mean, Canada are just flying into fights. I don't blame them. Already one in towards double stack. The Mac 10 does so much damage, and it will be seen up by their Glock as well. B-side taken. That's the round.
Indeed. Starting to get problematic now, similar to the way that Mirage was panning out once they've got a feel for it. Canada is rolling through. I think they've come to the conclusion that this B bomb site doesn't really know how to handle the executes, to be honest. Guatemala may be getting a bit frustrated with things as well. Again, potentially should have been another save angle, but trying to go for it in the 3 versus 2. And this is only one half of the map. You know, as soon as Guatemala maybe get a hand on it and get like 2 or 3 rounds in a row, they're going to go A. So, yeah, you know, there's a lot of options available for Canada right now as they move up to 7.
Yeah, what can you do, really? What can you do? Bomb to go off, and yeah, that'll be that. I mean, nice and simple. Taken with ease. And we go right back into it with what has been a simple, I guess, showing from the kind of get-go. We haven't really seen a lot on offer from Guatemala. I mean, time is already getting of the essence, right? We're looking at this now with, I mean, Canada's 7 rounds on Vertigo already on that T side is pretty alarming. Guatemala, if they can't get up to bare minimum 4 on the CT side, I think this might be done by the time we are in that kind of that second half. I think, you know, it could be already too outlandish.
Yeah, potentially, to be fair. Stage here with the AWP. Ooh, good for one. Good for another. He's keeping them in this round for sure. Although they are only MP9s, it's still weaponry to work with here for the rest of Guatemala. Could easily be upgraded. Gabby, ready and waiting. We're going to see some A action here. It is out of the sandbags. We'll see. It's been a little while for Canada. Can they keep the discipline? No Molotov to clear him out. So that bomb has got to be very, very, very careful. Spotted now, and maybe a move going to come in from Mitties. He hears the footsteps. However, he's going to get checked, but he drops him all the same. AWP retrieved, and he's looking to do some damage here. Misses the first shot. Second opportunity at it does not go his way. Bomb will be recovered, but teammate lost. 1 versus 3, essentially. Certainly the 2 here has to happen. Resetting the game, slowing things down, walking in to this A bomb site. They're not going to give it to him easily. Could go all the way around though. This is the maybe advantage for the T side. He's got a massive gap to work with, of course, into the one-on-one. Keeping the guessing game going, but the AWP comes out at the right moment to give Guatemala the all-important second.
Mate, oh, this is, I mean, good from Guatemala. I still think to a degree Canada, because a lot of the rounds prior have come so easily, and that one they're just flying into fights. Nobody's playing with each other or for each other or anything of the sort. They just barrel in towards the engagers. They give the AWP the opportunity to double up there. Definitely should get traded off to the first, but their spacing was so far away that they kind of couldn't. Yeah. Tough to see. But at the same time, for Canada, I think they can very easily sort of learn from the lesson there. I say that. Rainmaker going to get 1, and nobody close enough to trade. That's his teammates in trouble as well, as Joel's will also fall.
Okay, so here we go. CT side coming alive. All they needed was a bit of a clutch situation to go their way, apparently, but Canada still in it, and you know where they're at. It's B. Tensky with the double entry. Plant coming in. Kind of being faked out, but he still eats the nade all the same. Headshots continue landing, though. Canada seems so happy to take these fights, you know, in no rush to get the bomb down, really. Rainmaker alone. Very, very low here. Needs some insanely clean headshots, and it's not going to happen. He takes one through the smoke. 8-2. Canada have solidified themselves a pretty clean half here. They might be able to take it further, take it into that game-winning position.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, already up towards 8 for me, that feels absolutely fine. I mean, if they get the 9-3 again, it's probably going to be pretty similar to what we saw in that previous map where Canada just kind of waltz in towards that second half, get a pistol, and more or less cement it at that point alone. Double digits early and all the rest. Guatemala, they're happy to fight, but I don't think it's always a good thing for them. It's a nice nade, in all fairness. There's a lot of damage, and the killing towards mid is pretty important. At least it will keep Guatemala competitive in this one.
Ooh. Bit of an annoying Molotov there. Spreads around the double stack. Molly comes in, maybe a peek with the MP9. It ends up being a burst, though, unfortunately. Gabby takes stage on the other side of the map. So no pressure now for Canada, it feels like. Plenty of options, and I get some more info to work with, keeping Melio here to lock this one in. It is alone, and he's doing his damnedest, hoping there's maybe a bit of presence that comes his way, but it's not going to be the case. So he's probably on that soft save at the moment, trying to get out of here, take his M4 into the next.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's even worth remotely even sticking around. Let's just keep on what we've got, moving towards the next, and just sort of live and die by the statement of it is what it is in this one. But M4 should be fine to stay alive here. 9 already though for Canada. They are very quickly wanting to see this series off. Get a early bedtime for them, and a still relatively late one for us in all fairness, but all the same. M4. Yes, does get the kill. I was for a moment looking a little worried as he was, trained in towards that bottom hand side, but it's fine in the end. 9 for Canada heading into the final round of the half. And for Guatemala, we're going to have a bye of some sort, but I mean, I think it's just for them. They mentally look quite checked out. They're so happy to be coming in towards these games, in towards these rounds, where say I'm fighting, but it's just not working for them. They want a pug, and they want to try and back themselves in the individuals, but they've just been considerably better. And Canada looking crisp. 1-for-1 trade. This gets the first. Stage Alanta back with that FAMAS and an MP5 as well for Tenchki. All right, fair enough. That's a little bit BM when you have teammates of 7k, but I don't think
we got 2, mate. We got 2. I mean, it's the mid special, you know. You get super aggressive in mid with the MP5. It's actually one of, I think, the best run and gun SMGs to just because the fire rate's a little bit low. You can keep that accuracy kind of high while you're still moving around, you know. So I kind of get it to a certain extent. We had a few Frenchmen a few years ago that were pretty proficient on that MP5 SD. Not seen them really using it since, but for a while there, it was, I wouldn't say popular, but made more appearances than you might expect. Stage dealt with. Melio takes him down. Double digits for Canada here in the first half. So if they lose this, I would be absolutely amazed. It's a case of kind of how long it's going to take them. Of course, the pistol here will give Guatemala a bit of a lifeline if they can take it, but even that is a difficult ask, it would seem.
Yeah. Now at a 10-2, I mean, it really feels like we might be done already at this point. Oh, it's tough. It's really tough, it has to be said. I mean, for Guatemala, they haven't offered us a lot here. It's probably not a map that they play all too much. I mean, this map has become very popular to ban these days, and I can probably see why. I mean, for Guatemala, maybe floating it, hoping second wave they get rid of it, and it just hasn't looked that good. Stage gonna get the first, however. Yours back 90, might not get cleared. Boom, there's the first. Looking for a second. Dancing around. Oh, yours, that is so clean. What a round from him, and it might not be done here for his teammates.
We'll see. Got to be a bit careful. Stage with the nade does manage to finish one off. Gets a quick reload. Oh, and the Julies keep him in it. What a round from both sides. Individuals across the board, but it's staged for Guatemala to give them something to work with, a bit of hope, a light at the end of the tunnel, maybe. We shall see here. Force going to come back in from Canada to try and shut that down before it even gets going, but that's what we like, a little bit of clutch victories coming through.
Yeah, no, exactly. Nice. Julie's also did something just very small, subtle, but it worked really well, which was just the little fake reload on the Julies to repeat back in, to bait them into playing in the open. Small, but effective, ultimately. Really nicely done. Guatemala needed a pistol. We'll get a pistol. Yours going to get 2. Oh, no, boys. Please, no. Not the force buy. My own agenda going to work against me.
Yeah. That would be unfortunate. You know, you're starting to build your numbers. Maybe NA is going to be the region where the force buys work. Uh-oh. It might just. Is it worth double points if it, you know, kind of wins the game for them or no?
No, but part of me wants to not count it.
Oh! Wait.
Hang on. Hang on. The CS gods are coming back to help me. Never mind.
Oh, okay. For a second. For a second. But unfortunately, yeah. The scout in there kind of puts a downer on it. Canada will find that 11 and looking to, all jokes aside, take this 2-0 very, very cleanly. You know, we had questions to ask of this team. Can they be considered that second favorite, right? Coming in at Group B, USA in Group A. I think we, you know what we're doing here. A little bit of that rivalry, but they're not going to get to meet until that playoff stage a little bit later on into the weekend. So it was a good barometer here. It was going to give us a good idea of how they look in these early games. Oh, Joels. He doesn't get all 4. He's robbed of it a little bit. If he finds this as well, and he does, his ace, unfortunately, stolen by the auto shotgun. Nonetheless, that's got to lock it in. The 2-0 on the horizon. The super flawless game here, 13-5, and looking down the barrel of a 13-3.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, take a look at this again. Just a massacre. They're running into the Molotov and then into the Galil, which is having an absolute field day. Also, shotgun comes in for 1, and the pistol jumping off, going to get one of his own. I mean, nice and easy. 4 kills in total. Should have had the ace. He's unfortunate not to, but not a bad old spot to be in. 12-3. And it looks like we're going to be very soon saying goodnight to you all, as well, as it's just been a really, really nice showing. Out from the Canadian side, we've got upgraded pistols, the best that Guatemala can bring to the table here. Auto shotgun, going to say hello very quickly in a second. Going to get the kill eventually. Took a few more bullets than I think Gabby would have wanted, but kill is a kill, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely at this stage of the game as well, right? Get it locked in. And indeed, like you say, get that early finish, but also get yourself in consideration. Oh, for tomorrow's games. There we go. The auto shotguns getting into the mixture. It will be the 2-0 picked up. Team Canada barely breaking a sweat. It has to be said. It has to be honest. You know, Guatemala maybe registered in with mobs. Would he have been able to carry them through a game like that? I'm not entirely sure. It does look like they might come through as one of the lesser comfortable teams here. Time going to tell. They've got Ecuador, they've got Costa Rica in that Group B to contend off against. But for this, a 2-0 in favor of Canada. No contest and a quick series.
Yeah, no, exactly. I really think we look at this now and say Canada have got to be a side that we keep our eyes on for this entire tournament. We kind of came in saying that probably the 2 favorites on paper are going to be United States and Team Canada. They're, at least for both teams, 4/5 playing under the same organization. I think having that teamwork and that team basis to go off is such a massive bolster for them. And hey, so far so good, right? I think, you know, for USA, they looked pretty good for the most part. There are a couple of moments where they maybe got tested by Colombia. Canada, they didn't. I think it's simple as that. I think, you know, unfortunately for Guatemala, there really just wasn't as much on offer, I think, as they would have wanted. Maybe having someone like Miles on the server would have really helped out, but of course, he's a busy guy these days over in Tier 1 Counter-Strike. But, you know, I still think Stage at his moment, in all fairness to him, looked pretty damn clean, especially when he had an AWP out as well. It's just the unfortunate thing is when you are getting slaughtered And it's so difficult to build up your economy to a state where you can have an AWPR. When he did, it was good. It was just such a rarity. But well played from Canada. Great work coming through. They were the favorites in coming into this matchup, and they played like the favorites, as they should. So impressive work from them is the main takeaway.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the team play aspects and that experience that they have playing off a decent level within North American Counter-Strike is obviously having an effect here for these teams. United States also feeding into that, although we will say, the game against Colombia, that second map comes a bit close. So again, when we potentially have, as we are looking towards the Clash of the Titans, as it were, in that playoff stage, if sort of everything goes to plan for the teams that make sense, it might be a closer game than people had considered, right? You look across to the NA boys, well, to the American, they're all the United States boys. There you go. We're gonna have to keep splitting them up cleanly, but all the same, they come forwards as potentially the favorites for the whole thing. But I think Canada have done a lot of prep work coming into this.
Yes, no, exactly. I think it is safe to say, they're a side who grind out a lot as a team, and obviously it showed in the server. They looked very comfortable in terms of the counter-attack they were trying to approach with, and I think having that level about them is always really positive to see. I mean, they're a side who we expect big things of them in towards this qualifier, and it's one of those where the hope is that this is just a sign of things to come, really, for Canada going forward, right? Can we make this a regular? And also, I really want to be... I'm quite interested to see how they'll then face off against the United States side as well, right? Because I do think there's quite a bit to offer for them, where maybe something can be... quite a good series there at the very least. It's tough to call because a lot of the judgment actually comes down to the opposition they were against, and Guatemala unfortunately just didn't offer a hell of a lot. Stage again, on an individual note, had a decent game, another one where he went positive, but unfortunately just didn't have the rest of the team there to support him.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. I think it'll be interesting to see whether that continues kind of being the case moving forwards, right? It will be a pretty scary prospect if they're unable to support in the future games as well. But things looking very, very good for Canada on that individual level. I think we saw a lot out from Yuz all series long on both maps, considering how one-sided they are, getting those extra few kills, getting those extra few moments, really do paint a picture of maybe how ahead of your teammates you can be, those extra percentage points that you can add. So yeah, Yuz looks like the one to watch for my money moving forwards into tomorrow's games.
Yes, exactly that. Well, all in all, actually a quick end to the evening in a sense, right? We look at this now and say, it could have been a long old day in a sense, but it was two very quick maps. I think Canada just looked very, very good. And the hope that we do get to see more of that level out of Canada. Maybe we might be able to check in with them and the United States at least sort of one more time before this qualifier is concluded. But of course, for those who don't know the format, 8 teams here and 2 teams go through. Top 2 is the ones who go through to the World Esports Championships. And right now, Canada and the United States look very, very good. There was another game that was played at the same time over in Group A, which was Panama versus Honduras. And yeah, Panama seemed to apparently look pretty clean in that one, 13-3 and 13-8 in that series. So maybe Panama are a side that we're going to keep an eye on. But it's, more or less the top 2 out of their groups move on in towards the semi-finals and grand final sort of playoff bracket. And so far, good work for United States, Panama, and Canada, who have locked in theirs. I think, if I'm right in saying, Ecuador and Costa Rica is still ongoing, from my understanding. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. I'm just double checking out to see if the match page is live. It is. So let me check in while I'm here. Okay, all right. Map number 1 has been played. Costa Rica won 13-10. So there we go. All right. I don't know. I think that's just map number 1 of the series, I'm going to assume. But our game was so quick. Honestly, that might even be the case. Yes, it was actually just map number 1. They're currently live in map number 2. Costa Rica are winning 6-3. So on track, maybe, for a Costa Rica 2-0 there. So maybe they're in towards Group B, the side that Canada have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure, man. It does seem like there is a little bit of competition coming in from some of the other teams. Yeah, it'd be really, really cool to see, you know, if we have a side like Panama coming in, you know, obviously quite a small country and whatnot. If they can bring some names and make it happen in Group A, that would be really cool. And then the other side of things, we really don't know where to look. We've got Canada towards that top end, but beyond that, you know, who is going to be capable? And is it like super top heavy and they're going to be competitive with the other three? These are all sort of big questions that we're going to have answered over the next few days, of course. But it moves pretty quickly. You got to get those games in. Every victory does indeed count. 2 teams out of 4 from each group going to be making it through on the North American side of things. And then the South American side of things as well, if you were here for that, and if you are here for that into tomorrow, pretty savage. That one moves quickly. And, you know, we've already got like Team Brazil down there with a forfeit loss. So that one could really go anywhere. But for today, that is indeed going to do us. On the English speaking, we're generally working from a Central European timing. If you are, you know, over from NA and everything, you might have to do a little bit of converting, but we'll be getting that first game for tomorrow kicked off at 10 o'clock Central European. We'll be live on cams maybe 15 minutes before that. So make sure that you're around for that. But for today, I bid you all adieu. Thank you very much for watching. From myself and Nao and everyone at production, cheers, and we'll catch you tomorrow.